You've got some new spirit guides that are getting ready to make their presence known to you. These feel like ancestral spirits, feminine energies that you've awakened through your willingness to step out of a cycle of your life as far as love and romance is concerned, where you were allowing the sense of almost a need for partnership, a need to experience certain things related to like the ideal projection of what it means to, be successful or be happy. So maybe that's marriage and kids, or a partner, something where it was very, hard to kind of be on your own, hard to be on your own in your own energy, or you were receiving a lot of pressure from people around you to like move on from a breakup, to find someone, to meet someone, to get married, to settle down, things that may still all be goals and dreams of yours, but there's something where you've taken your power back, and you've said through your actions, through your activities, through your choices, no, that'll be on my terms. That's on my timeline. There's nothing that is meant for me that will pass me by. And even if some of those dreams aren't fulfilled, if they don't come true, I'll be okay. I'll make it. I will make my life beautiful, with or without those things. Like a conscious decision to do that. Maybe you've done some kind of releasing ceremony. You've closed certain chapters to your past. You've cut off certain people, certain habits, certain belief systems, certain activities that kind of were putting you in circumstances where, out of the pursuit of these things, you were settling. You were allowing yourself to be treated like an option by people that honestly you wouldn't choose if you were in alignment with that higher frequency within yourself, if you're in alignment with your highest good, or things which made you kind of, perform for love, or kind of give your power away in certain ways, maybe to like round and round situations, circumstances that were very toxic, or very damaging, things that occupied a lot of space and energy within your life that you've cut off, or you've closed that cycle in some sort of way. And you may still be seeking love and romance and partnership, but you're like going about it in a different way because you've chosen yourself, and you've awakened these ancestral spirits. It's almost like grandmother energy, people that it feels like in their generation, or in their times, or in the lives that they lived, they either didn't have the luxury to make such choices, it wasn't an option, it wasn't available for them. And so they're kind of like coming towards you because you're someone that has broken that chain, you've broken that pattern. Or this is something where if they had wanted that for themselves, they couldn't see that through to a place of success, or it was something that, maybe they had never even like considered it an option. And then sort of at the end of their life, they look back and like, wow, I could have made better choices, or I wonder what my life would have been like if things had been different, or I'd had different sorts of opportunities, there had been different things available for me. And it's like, you're somebody who has sort of, you've moved in a different direction beyond tradition. And it almost was like something that you might even be in a place in your life right now where you're kind of like, well, why aren't these things coming in for me? I want these things. I'm looking to no avail. I'm looking and I'm not finding these things. And even that level of frustration within you that has maybe made you kind of like cast a wider net, or to like go within and sort of say, okay, it's what I'm doing in the outside world is like not making the change I'm wanting to experience. It's not magnetizing in the life I want to experience. So what can I do on the inside? What can I do for me that kind of like I'm putting out a different vibe? I'm changing what I'm putting out there, and then what I'm receiving possibly, or maybe is starting to shift. I'm saying no to things that don't align with me. I'm trying to call in the things that feel right. All of that has again kind of like awakened these new spirit guides, these new ancestral spirits that it feels like are coming in very close to help you on this next phase of your journey of love. We've got the Ace of Cups. It feels like there are three of these individuals that are wanting to help you with your love life. This can be like three sisters. This can have to do with like three successive generations. It feels like if it is like multiple generations, then it would be the kind of thing where like you'd be aware of like one of these individuals, and then it would be like their mother and then the mother before, where maybe the names are kind of like lost to you. Like you would only kind of be able to go so far back, and then that would sort of be the end of the line as far as what you'd be aware of. You'd have photographs of, or there'd be like family stories or lore of. And so it feels like that is something where it's like there's one of these people you're able to kind of define, or that may represent kind of like an established spirit guide, somebody, you know, that you work with, or maybe someone in life that you are very close to that has passed over and has represented that spirit guide, that ancestral presence. And it's like this person is bringing reinforcements, not just because they love you, but because you have actually you know, kind of done something to sort of reach for better, reach for more, rather than kind of just continuing the cycle as it was established for yourself, that isn't just a result of kind of, you know, the way your life has played out, or even certain like wounds or patterns that you needed to work on personally, but this is something that has been like passed down generation after generation. And so this is again like a very protective energy that's coming towards you, in order, it feels like, to give you a lot of encouragement to keep going, to keep taking those steps, even if it's just sort of like questioning, could there be something else out there, or starting to even kind of look at those alternatives about, well, if some of these dreams don't come true, what then? I can't just let my life crumble. I can't just like sit in that sad sort of energy. That might work for a period of time, but then what? So if you're kind of like looking towards those horizons, or something that is almost like a contingency plan, how am I going to live a beautiful life regardless of what does or does not manifest, does or does not come in for myself? This, or maybe this is even kind of a vibe that, you know, you're encouraged to sort of start to explore within yourself, within your own practice, you know, within your own kind of like thoughts and contemplations. This is something where it's almost like there's a nurturing energy that is going to like help you, almost like midwife energy. It's going to midwife you through this process, or walk with you through this process. Yeah, we have death. So again, this is that energy of like passed over loved ones, but more importantly, it speaks to kind of like shedding a version of yourself. You've put a version of yourself to rest, one that settled, one that didn't kind of like think that there might be something more out there, or one where, you know, maybe certain dreams and goals that you have wanted to experience, they didn't come true. For some of you, this is tying into the idea of like, you know, maybe you're kind of like, you're entering menopause, or you've kind of like, you've gone through that period, or you're rapidly approaching that period of your life where it's kind of like, okay, maybe I wanted to, you know, get married and have kids, and that was always a golden dream, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Or maybe other things have kind of changed for you, where there's like a change in plans. Or even for some of you, this is kind of the energy of like other people might have put that pressure on you to start a family, to get married, to settle down. And you're like, this isn't really what I want for myself. And so you've distanced yourself from that. You've released the version of yourself that was like holding that as like an anchored timeline, or something that may have come with a lot of like family pressure, or even cultural or societal pressure to like do these things. Interestingly, this is also kind of applying as well, because I mean, I don't have a whole lot of men, I don't think, that watch my channel, just based on like the statistics that I've looked at, but this is also coming through as like a masculine, like for men, or masculines that maybe like watching my channel and resonating for this, the idea of like fatherhood. And if you didn't get married, you didn't have kids, or that's something that you're not exactly like wanting, it's this same kind of energy of support. Like, that's okay too. Like, there are many different options in life. So this can also though resonate with the fact of like, you're getting support from both feminine and masculine ancestors, like both sides of your lineage, kind of encouraging you to sort of like think bigger for yourself, or you're seeking a different way. to make some of those goals and dreams possible, if it's still a possibility for you, or it's still within kind of the ballpark of what you hope to achieve or hope to experience as like living your best life. Any steps that you've taken to kind of push in a new direction or to strategize how to achieve that or accomplish that in a different way, it's something which is, it's applauded by your spirit team, but it's also kind of, it's awoken certain individuals from your lineage that are taking a special interest in you as somebody that kind of like rewrites the narrative or creates an alternative possibility as far as legacy, that future incarnations, future generations, or even other people present in your current like family tree can maybe look towards, not as somebody that's like unfortunate, like it's unfortunate these things didn't happen, or too bad they don't find somebody, or you know, that's sad, kind of what their life turned out to be, or what isn't in their reality yet, you know, just whatever that kind of looks like. But it feels like there's also individuals that are kind of like, okay, there are other choices out there for me, or if certain things that I want, it doesn't lead to my happily ever after, that it's not the end of the world. So this is something that, again, it's like you're taking a step forward, not just for yourself, but for your whole kind of lineage, basically. We also have the world. So again, this is something with that unicorn there on this picture. You know, this is something that is kind of like you're unique. You're somebody that is an outlier in the best possible way. And that may even just be something where, you know, you've chosen to go on a healing journey. You've chosen to look at like unhappy connections or things that have fallen apart or circumstances you've been in. You've called these things by their name: toxic, narcissist, low vibrational. You know, you've gotten out of circumstances that didn't serve your highest good, or maybe you were left high and dry. You were the one who was discarded or abandoned, and you've processed that, or you're sitting within that hurt, within that pain at this point, actively moving to kind of like close out that cycle to begin again, to experience something different. And so this is something that you may feel like this is a very lone energy. It's a very solitary energy, but you're very cherished at this particular point in time. Your approach to things, your mindset, your intentions, the modalities that you're using to kind of like deal with this, strategize about this, you know, kind of understand this in some sort of way, it's piqued the interest of that family line, of certain members within this family line, like ancestors, passed over loved ones, who are like, yes, we want to help you, to kind of lift you up into a place where, you know, things work out for you as far as like the spectrum of love. Now, whether that is something that you become comfortable in your singlehood, you become, you know, comfortable in your celibacy, you become comfortable kind of like waiting a little bit longer for the things that, you know, align with like a higher version of you, or whether this is something that different kind of choices that you've made or are making for yourself helps you to kind of call in and choose a higher caliber of partner or potential partner than you've experienced before, than has been presented to you before, you know, building a life that looks different from other people that may have kind of just had to settle into something, might have been forced into something, didn't know there were options, or didn't make that choice for themselves. You're somebody that's like a trailblazer. You're at the forefront of almost like a movement within your lineage of like, okay, it branches off just beyond kind of like the typical story handed down generation after generation. Yeah, we've got the moon. So again, this is almost the energy of like you've magnetized in a different version of yourself that is very compelling, that is magnetizing in. It feels like you've broken through kind of like ancestral chains, ancestral curses in a way, if you want to define it as that, or just almost like the phrase like ancestral saga is coming through. So this may be something that even if the reality or details of the experiences were different, like through the generations, it was the same theme playing out over and over again, and it's something that has been like handed to you. Like you were walking in those shoes for a period of time. You've broken free of that cycle, and what you've done is you've been able to kind of magnetize in and activate untapped ancestral strength. People that didn't have a choice to do things as you've done, or didn't experience circumstances you find yourselves in. Again, the paradox may be maybe like, my love life sucks and I don't have anyone right now. That's something that it feels like is very different from people that might have even just been, you know, stuck in a marriage or stuck in a circumstance with someone that they didn't love, that it was very toxic, that it was very damaging, you know. So it's kind of relative in terms of that energy of sort of like loss or negativity. It feels like wherever you're at in your circumstance, whether you're feeling very good or you're feeling very like low at this point in time, there's a sense that you're able to access the power of choice. There's something that is available for you right now that kind of ties into all of this unused strength, all of this unused potential from previous generations. That was like, everybody has those crossroads moments, even if it's kind of like the pressure is on, or you know, circumstances play out where that choice can even just be very momentary and then it's gone. There's a sense of almost like that other timeline, that unused timeline. It is still deeply embedded, deeply empowered with all of that potency of what it might have been like to choose something else, to walk a different way. All of that it's coming to you now, almost as this like inheritance of like an empowered energy. There's a lot of people cheering for you on the other side of the veil, hoping that kind of like whatever comes next for you, whatever direction you're headed at in terms of your love life, that it's something that, you know, even if it has its ups and downs, that you in some sort of way recognize it wasn't just what was handed to you. In some way, you've really activated choice, or you've been forced to choose something different. Things have played out for you very differently. And that this is not to be looked at as like a disempowering experience. You, in fact, are very empowered. It's something where you don't have to kind of like go and seek those resources of like, I've broken through patterns within myself or ancestral patterns. And that's just kind of all there is to it. It's like you've broken through these things. And so now you're able to access all of that like untapped, all of that unused potential that can really supercharge you to like increase your personal magnetism, to come to a place of almost like really calling in a life that excites you, or learning to sort of like shapeshift within your circumstances, where if you can't change the material, or if it's something where like your biological clock has run out and so there is no time to like have a child of your own, or something where maybe that's nothing that you wanted, and so you've walked in those steps in a particular direction where it's like, that's not something that factored into my idea of happiness. Other people may or may not agree with that. That there's a sense of kind of like not sitting in the energy of loss, but something that feeds you and empowers you, and kind of helps you to be more radiant and more luminous, accepting and loving your life as you've designed it, as you're living it, as it will kind of continue on through the years to come. That there's something that is more than just kind of like your own personal sense of pride. This is something that like up through the lineage, it's like you've done things, or you even have a mindset that is different from so many others. It was either unheard of, or it's something that was done very rarely, or perhaps not at all. So you're very important as far as like a descendant at this particular point in time, for your ancestral lineage. Yeah, and we have Two of Wands. That's that energy of choice. You in some sort of way have chosen yourself. You've chosen different. You've chosen more. You've even asked the question, is there something more out there? And this is something that has liberated a lot of souls within your lineage that didn't have a choice, or made choices and it was like the wrong choice, or something that didn't, like, they had a lot of regrets, or you know, didn't turn out to be anything very beautiful or very lovely. And there's a sense of like, you stand at the threshold of so many different possibilities, that this is really an encouragement for you to kind of, you know, seize this moment in time. Take a moment to just kind of sit within the sacredness of that. Yes, you're living your life for you, but there are also kind of the voiceless and the unnamed within your lineage, even people that you know about, people that you know, experience personally, or you've heard the stories of their lives. And even if they were very happy, even if it's like they had a very good life, it was a very beautiful life, they were very content, it's almost kind of like everybody has that what if. Everybody has those what if moments. What would it have been like if I had made a different decision? What would it have been like if certain things did or did not happen? You're sitting in that embodiment of that what if moment for yourself and for a lot of people. And so it's a very sacred position that you hold at this point. Yeah, and we have the Hanged Man. So again, this is a sense of like, you have chosen something different. And so the possibilities, the options for you further along in your timeline, there's almost like remarkable things are going to be able to be experienced by you because you've freed yourself in some sort of way from kind of just going through the motions, going through the process of what was taught to you, what was entrained to you, what you experienced, or, maybe like certain kind of karmic things that you needed to go through, or things that were like the result of sort of like a woundedness within, calling in certain partners, choosing certain experiences, or things that have happened to you or that you've experienced that were not of your choosing, that were not your fault, that were, kind of like horrible things, and you've had to heal from those. You've had to come to terms with those. You've had to create peace in some sort of way with these things. All of these things as it relates to your love life, you're not limited. You're not stuck. You're not behind. You haven't missed out on anything. And so there's this encouragement from these ancestral spirits that are awakened, that are gathered around you at this point in time, not to look at kind of like what was lost or sit in the energy of panic about like, I don't know how much more time's left. I don't know if I'm ever going to reach these dreams. I don't know if I'm ever going to find someone. And there's a sense of almost like acknowledging that kind of want, that yearning, that need, that desire, but also recognizing that you sit at the threshold of like, yeah, if some of these things don't come to pass, don't play out, you're still you. You still have the ability to create a very fulfilling life, to live a very beautiful life in a reimagined way than what you had envisioned it would play out to be. And that is something that, we all have the option to make the best or the worst of circumstances. And this is something where these ancestral spirits, these very, grandmotherly kind of energies, these feminine sort of energies, although it feels like, it's your lineage as a whole, is trying to really get you to focus on that strength of like, not just it will be okay, but you will find a way to make it, whatever it is, okay, no matter how that plays out. And that in and of itself is something which has forged an entirely new path for souls within your lineage that will choose to be reincarnated into your lineage in, future timelines. Now there's kind of a scent trail, an energetic trail to follow that has been established by you as an individual, kind of like the first within a line of others who will know that like, hey, there's something more than what everyone else is doing. Hey, if certain circumstances happen, I can still make the best of my life. Whatever comes, whatever goes. I'm here in this moment and I can still look towards my life and towards my future with optimism, with hope, and with love. Or if it comes to, the idea of kind of like choosing partners or aligning with certain types of partners, there's a sense that like you've had certain experiences and you've activated your own power of choice, your free will to choose something better, to choose something different. Maybe you've been forced to heal, but now you have the choice. I can either repeat the same cycles, I can name them, I can identify them, I know what that is like, I carry the scars of those experiences. That is something that can be replicated again, it can be repeated again. Or now I know there's something else, there's something different. I've strengthened myself, I've equipped myself with certain skills, certain understandings, certain knowledge that I can recognize my patterns. I can see what has played out in my life. I know what the experiences that don't feel good have been, so it gives me the ability to reach towards the unknown polarity of something different, something more, something better. And so your ancestors are very proud of you for this. They are wanting you to feel very empowered in this moment. And it feels like these awakened ancestral spirits, they're not just here for this period of time until you align with a better love or a better loving relationship with yourself. This is something where it's like from this point going forward on your journey, these souls have been activated, they have been awakened by you. And so it's something that there's almost kind of, if you're having a hard time sort of experiencing that love from outside of yourself, this is almost the sense of kind of like there is so much love that surrounds you. It's not just the love you pour into yourself or that other kind of like, warm-bodied individuals are giving you, but there's a sense of, these souls within your lineage, people you're aware of, people you don't know that are tied to you through blood. There is love that is pumping into you in this moment, that if there is nothing else for you, there is that. And there's an urge to kind of like find strength within that, because you're also able now to kind of like capitalize on that strength of choice, on that possibility of what if, to where the future as you make it for yourself will be bright in a different sort of way, because you've chosen to walk in a different direction from those who came before you and created their own version of joy. Now you're somebody that is elsewhere on the spectrum, and so there's almost like you are that kind of like first pop of light within the darkness. You are someone that is leading the way forward. And so with that, again, comes this added layer of sort of, ancestral vigilance on your behalf, loving energies that surround you on your behalf to provide solace, to provide comfort, to provide protection, to provide guidance. It feels like these kind of ancestral spirits as well are going to be more active in terms of when it comes to like encountering new potential partners, and really making that presence known to give you these nudges and these reassurances that like, yes, you're moving in a better direction. Yes, you're making better choices for yourself. Or yes, you are truly embodying a timeline that is beyond the brokenness or the hurt or the loss that you have experienced in love before. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Please like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.